Yeah, not even. That's a bad question because I don't want to make bad Nani jokes. But yes, Naniwa has been on MTW. What I want to say though, Ben, is that these two guys, this was my match to look forward to for many reasons. As you said, Ben, Dimaga, one of the most successful foreign players out there, has won a lot of money, has made a lot of deep tournament runs. And he's also had a friendly rivalry with the Muslim. These two guys, they've been running into each other since day one of the beta. And I literally mean day one of the beta.
They bought the game on the same day. They queued up for ladder. They hit each other first. Dimaga did a 14 gas, 14 pool Baneling bust.
Yes.
And the rest is history.
Yes, the Muslim did have... I mean, Dimaga was Baneling busting everyone. And then the Muslim came up with the best idea ever. He's like, what if I build my buildings on the low ground so I can have 2 walls? And the European scene ban, it was blown away because the Muslim just was the first player to actually deal with Dimaga's Baneling
Not
bust.
even the European scene, Kevin. It just opened up the minds of these players. What? You can wall with the barracks in a factory? What? So I mean, it's just it was one of the critical first steps towards
where we are right now.
Exactly. It was one of the critical first steps beyond one-base play, and it was just really cool. These guys have such a storied history. It's great seeing them playing against each other.
Definitely talking about that history, Ben. The Zotac Cup were the first online tournaments in the European scene back then when the Wings of Liberty beta just got started. And during Zotac Cup number 2, Ben, Dimaga made it to the final and he played against the Muslim. And Dimaga actually won that. Or it was Zotac Cup number 3, I think. I think maybe number 2, he made it to the final and played someone else. Zotac Cup number 3, he definitely played against the Muslim. He won with a 3-1 score. But the week after that, both these two guys, they went to the final again. And guys, these were 512 player tournaments. And they had all the good guys making the switch over from Boudoir, all the good, at least in the foreign Boudoir guys. I shouldn't say the Koreans, of course. But all the top European Warcraft 3 players were playing this. And the Muslim and Dimaga made it to back-to-back finals. Dimaga winning the first series 3-1. The Muslim winning the second one 3-1. And since that day, these two guys, they've just been friendly rivals and had a lot of really cool encounters. You know, one encounter before the action really kicks in when we see the Muslim opening up with a no-gas fast expand build and Dimaga, of course, going hedge first. You know, Ben, there's a small side story. These two guys, they played actually against each other at Homestar Cup 2. And they were sitting next to each other. Now, of course, Homestar Cup 2 was not as big as Homestar Cup 3. So it was still played in Dennis Take Gale in his old apartment. And they were sitting right next to each other. And for one of the first times ever, they were playing on jungle basing. Well, then you already know what time it is. Ben just shakes his head right now. It's like, oh, that map. And the Muslim, he went for a super all-in, and then he run his Marines into the natural of Dimaga, and then put his SCVs on hold position on the ramp. So the Zerglings, they couldn't get through because people didn't know how to deal with that. And Dimaga was sitting right next to the Muslim, and he was getting so angry, even though like Dimaga is the nicest guy ever. He was getting really angry of what was actually happening. And the Muslim was like, I'm not sure if I should cheer or not. And nobody in the room really knew how to behave because an angry Dimaga is scary, man.
That awkward moment, man. It's like angry Slivko.
Yeah. But in the end, it was all good. Dimaga, just such a nice guy, was able to keep his emotions under control, and we still had a great time.
Little Zergling poke up here into the natural of the Muslim. He's going to do some damage, at least in regards to a few of these Marines. It's annoying, but the Muslim will clean it up without really taking any economic losses. Yeah, it's a weird little Zergling timing, which is probably why it's working a little bit. But ultimately, only a single SCV killed. If you look at resources lost, that's pretty even.
The Muslim lost 1 or 2 Marines as well, which is unusual for this phase of the game. Dimaga has a small worker lead already, Ben, and 8 more drones in production. So his economy is going to skyrocket very early on in this game. Of course, the Muslim is going for the triple orbital opening. So he's opening super economic as well. Already down 12 workers, but there's nothing that triple orbital can't make up for.
That's exactly right. He'll be dropping all those mules. He'll be producing workers 3 at a time. The Muslim's economic situation is a fine one. If you look at the supplies, though, it is so deceptive. Dimaga's already doubling the Muslim's supply. How in the world?
He's droning so hard, man. Those few links were the only links he made, and since then it's all been drones. Now, by the way, guys, something we forgot to do today was make predictions. That's, of course, because we did a little bit of guest commentating with the Root guys as well. But, Ben, who did you predict to win this series?
For this one, I chose, if I'm remembering correctly, I chose Dimaga. And the reason I chose Dimaga is because, well, I think he's a fantastic Zerg player, but I was pretty confident that you were going to choose the Muslim.
I did.
So I thought, well, it only makes sense that we would have to bet against each other on at least this game. and see how it all pans out.
Of course, guys, as soon as the show is done, you guys will be able to see all of our predictions today. And after that, once more, we are going to broadcast the Root Battle Royale $4,000 tournament final. So $2,000 for the winner and $1,000 for second place between Major and TT1. That's going to be awesome. But for now, Ben, all eyes on the Muslim versus Dimaga. Did you see what I did there?
I love it. I love it. A little bit of a throwback to the show All Eyes on Demuslim that Rotterdam hosted at the ESL during his time there.
It was a good show, man.
Demuslim, of course, had a pretty nasty arm injury while living in Cologne, Germany. And when, well, it actually had him out of commission. He couldn't play games at all because of he had a broken arm.
Yep.
And when he did come back, they hosted a nice little show about it. Showed some of the ladder games, had a lot of discussion with Demuslim. And it was a nice thing.
It was a very nice thing, man. Compared to your show, it was pure genius. Just kidding, Benny. Don't be mad. You're always mad when I talk about your show.
You're always so mean, man.
No, not at all.
You're so mean. I had a great Terran guest on my show, Kevin. I had Pain User come on and talk to people about macro Terran builds because he's not just another cheesy caster.
Okay, that's nice to know. See the Muslim is Hellions getting in position, cruising around, seeing that Dimaga is going up to 3 bases, but there are still a lot of queens, so the Muslim doesn't really dare to commit with these Hellions. Which makes sense, because 4 queens with all that energy, Ben, it's kind of scary.
No, Demuslim doesn't know that Dimaga didn't have Zergling speed, and if he had known that, I think he might have committed those Hellions. I was talking to Major about this the other day, and Major said if you skip Zergling speed and just try to hold with Mass Queen, Hellion run by is brutalizingly effective. Of course, anybody that plays Zerg is familiar with just how difficult it is to deal with Hellions when they do run past.
Now, I do think it's hard for a Terran to really figure out when a Zerg is that greedy or not. Because the scan, it can tell you a little bit, but if you see that the spawning pool is wiggling a little bit, you know that it's not ready yet. But it could be ready within 5 seconds, and losing 5 to 10 Hellions could also be detrimental.
Also, the spawning pool for it's like being active animation is one of the most subtle ones in the game. Like you can never really be sure. Okay, he's definitely researching speed right now.
Would you say so? I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, we'll look at it again when it finishes up.
Look at this thing, man. It's like Goku. It's like whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's like Frodan's biceps after he's done being fierce.
No, it's Frodan's biceps while he lifts up a cup of coffee, man. That's how strong Frodan is. That's how pumped he is. The Muslim still being careful with these Hellions, just trying to take out as many creep tumors as possible. Dimaga, of course, been famous for his 2-2 Bailing bust, a build that you will be able to tell the people at home all about.
I love Dimaga's 2-2 Bailing bust. It's not what we're going to see here, as he is already going up to Hive. I'm not sure what we're going to see. I guess it's going to be Ultras, because the Spire is nowhere in sight. Yeah, I think it's really possible that we will see some 2-2 Baneling action at some point in this series, and it's just a great build because it punishes Terran players that are overly greedy and that delay their siege tanks. I think it would have worked in this game, but it's not what we end up seeing here this time.
Love the map vision so far of Dimaga. Even though he doesn't have a whole lot of units on the map, I do feel that whatever he does see is pretty much everything he has to worry about, and it's going to give him 5 to 10 seconds extra to react to certain pushes.
That Hive from Dimaga is finishing up, and if we look again at the spawning pool, we can see that speed's done, and that little Frodan bicep still throbbing a little bit, Kev. So
yeah, much slower though.
it's much slower, but it's just when you're just having a glance from a scan, it's hard to always be certain.
The Frodan bicep. Dimaga is going to produce a couple of Infestors, Ben, and he's really going to need it, as we have 32 Banelings. We do have, 32 Marines. We do have 11 Banelings, but if the Muslim splits his units well, that's not what he's doing
initial
right now.
detonations are pretty good.
Yeah.
And Queens are going to get some shots off on these medevacs, forcing an evacuation from Demuslim. Demuslim's tank count is so low, and he's just starting siege mode. That is a huge mistake. And Dimaga, of course, has no way to know that, but oh my goodness, it's a gaping window right now that Dimaga could try to hit.
The renal glands is being researched as well, Ben, at the same time as that the Ultralisk cavern is going down. So Dimaga is preparing for pretty quick Ultralisk.
I wish Adrenal Glands worked on Ultras.
That would be pretty sick. With Burrow Charge?
Yeah, instead of being like chop, 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 it'd be like chop, 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 chop.
That'd be really cool. Then you can cast like Divine Shield on the Ultra.
Oh man.
Oh no, is that too much?
No, that's perfect. I like that idea.
So you see the Muslim trying to drop this fort base over here from Dimaga, but that's pretty much impossible, as Dimaga has a lot of units over there. The Muslim does have a huge army advantage for now, Ben, but the Ultralisk cavern is almost out, so Dimaga will be able to produce at least 2 Ultras. because that's how it always is.
We'll see just how many. He's got the supply room for
4 or
as
5
many as he
probably.
wants. And he makes 6 Ultras, and funny enough, that's actually the joke we make. 6 Ultras is the max you can ever afford. As Demuslim is starting to push forward on creep. Dimaga probably wants to try and wait.
Man, the infestors.
Scary moment. But he sees it and actually gets a nice fungal off. And cleans up a healthy handful of bio units. So
Dima needs to save himself roughly 30 sequends. Great transfusions going down over here, but he realized that he cannot out DPS these Marines on the effective heal.
Man, Dimaga spams that T button with the best of them, keeping these queens alive for a long time, and he has successfully bought himself
9 ultras on the way right now.
A good amount of time. Yeah, those ultras are about to hatch. We'd love to see some Zerglings going into production as well. He's going to need a few.
He has like 32 or 44 on the way. He has 87 links on the map. I just don't know where they are. A lot of them are over here.
I guess he's just waiting. He's probably going to give up this expansion at this point, but again, he's bought himself a lot of time. It's a hatchery, that's some queens. Demuslim is going to go ahead and drop.
Oh, but on the same time, we have this big engagement over here by Dimaga. Let's focus on that one first, as the Zerglings and Ultras do swarm around most of these units from the Muslim.
And he's going to at least force Demuslim to evacuate. Demuslim lifts up, fills 2 medevacs with units, but loses quite a bit there. Dimaga right now, 175 supply against the 185 of his opponent, but this is a pretty scary Zerg army. 3-3 on the way.
Yeah. The Muslim doesn't know right now about all these Ultras though, so that is nice. He knows that he can comfortably produce a lot of Marauders.
And still no Spire for Dimaga, which is troubling.
Sport Crawl. Wow, what a great fungal there by Dimaga, Ben. 2 medevacs with a couple of bio units fell, and well, 2 additional units could have fell. Or 2 additional medevacs, but Dimaga does not want to use the energy. Still, great fungal. Picked off 2 medevacs and a lot
was an
of bio
expensive
units.
loss for Demuslim, and Dimaga's going to come commit to this fight right now. Zerglings and Ultras going to come crashing in. No Banelings supporting, which is a little bit unfortunate for Dimaga. Does he have enough damage in this army to clean up these bio units?
He killed a lot of tanks over there, though, but this is the moment that Dimaga's going to have to back off, and of course Dimaga...
Oh, miscontrolled. Ultras actually I guess, what do you call it? Re-aggro onto those bio units a little bit sloppily, and Dimaga all of a sudden quite down in supply. 146 supply to about 180 supply. He's making infestors right now. He's got so many minerals.
Yeah, but no gas. Andre would not be pleased watching this game.
Would be a little bit disappointed. I think the problem is that he's playing a Zergling-centric style, but he doesn't have that many hatcheries.
Did you see that first fungal from Dimaga?
I missed it.
He had like 2 infestors here, and there are 2 medevacs over here, and then he fungled here. It's like,
Only 4 hatcheries down for the 3-base Dimaga, and I mean, it's very clearly reflected in that mineral
the
count.
Muslim maxed out again, Ben. He did a really good job despite losing quite a few bio units left and right, and good engagements over here by Dimaga, and even dealing with that pretty big drop in the main base. I love how Dimaga keeps a couple of links and banelings in the main base just to buy himself that extra time in case the drop arrives, or even shut down the drop.
I got to say, this next army from Demuslim is a pretty scary one. He's got the Marauders sprinkled in. Against Zergling, Ultra Baneling, there's not very many infestors. There's 7 infestors out, but where are they?
Oh, they're over here, man. A little bit out of position. 1 infestor does fall, but the Dimaga will be able to save the rest. But this is not something that he can engage into, at least. That's how I feel.
Not while those tanks are sieged, and I would really love to see a Spire going down from Dimaga. He's got to start thinking tech switch. Because the Muslim's army is just going to continue getting better and better against these Ultras. Dimaga
misrallying Ultras a little bit, took some shots there, but kept them alive. That's all that matters. 3-3 is on the way though for the Muslim, and very impressively, Ben. Even +3 on the siege tank is on the way already. That's normally something that comes a little bit later. And Thor is here as well.
It's going to be some hard-hitting tanks. They already do 60 damage versus armored. A little small engagements. A couple Marines and a Marauder getting a little overextended.
First game between these 2 guys pretty much lives up to the expectations, though.
Here comes Dimaga. He's going to come crashing in, but the angle on these flanking units is off a little bit. It might still work, though. Ling sweeping in from behind. Some really good fungals going down.
He needs 1 more. He has the infested there. He lands 1 more fungal band, but the Muslim's positioning is just superior.
Yeah, I really feel like it hurt Dimaga quite a bit that the flanking force was so delayed there.
Let us take a detour, man. It's like, they're working on the road over here.
Road work, gotta go around.
Yes. Guys, hold up. And it was like,
That's what I said on the way to the Korean restaurant today. Because there was road work. I had to go around. More Lings popping out for Dimaga. Demuslim again maxing out very quickly. His macro has been just superb this game.
Yeah, these Ultras are out of position. A lot of Lings coming in from behind though. Demuslim does pick up a lot of units and gets out of there with most of these units. Really nice job right there by Demuslim. Dimaga wishing he had a couple of infestors right now.
Looks like some tanks may end up going down. Wow, great play from Demuslim, just controlling this so perfectly, dancing his Marines around, picking up damage, high value mech units, and while Dimaga does clean up a lot of those fighting units, Demuslim really
the reinforcement wave is pretty big, man, but Dimaga still has a lot of Ultras in the middle of the map as well. This game is just becoming madness right now, but all these Marauders, they're so well positioned once more. Dimaga realizing that this is right now the time to back off temporarily, but still, great fight. Non-stop action.
I have to agree, and immediately Demuslim's going to have to fight once more as Dimaga has re-engaged.
So many low HP Ultras, though. Demuslim could only pick off a few of them, but the Lings dealing a great job messing with the AI. Most of these units, but now the infestors are falling as well.
Demuslim's macro just blowing me away. He's
Look how low his minerals is.
Units, and he's on 5 bases.
This is so sick.
Just a superb macro from Demuslim. Dimaga forced back yet again. He's going to use some transfusions on these damaged Ultras, but I think he's really reaching the point where he's going to have to start losing bases, as Demuslim just is not giving up any ground at all.
I mean, this game has been quite a slugfest, Ben, and Demuslim's money has been so low throughout the entire game. It's really impressive.
Starting to really crawl up for the first time now that he's maxed.
That happens.
Well, he's going to have a remedy for that soon, as Dimaga is forcing yet another fight. Baneling's connecting and Ultras coming in, and more good fungals. Dimaga getting another pretty solid engagement. But if we look at the supplies, it just doesn't look that way, as Demuslim's still up and ahead, 170 supply to about 140.
Demuslim is going to drop this expand over here all the way on the north side of this map as well, while all these medevacs just remain. Demuslim has to be careful with those medevacs, though. Eventually, 2 or 3 fungals could kill off a lot of them, but he's quite rich.
Battery is not going to go down, but it did pull Dimaga's entire army back out of position, and Demuslim does manage to keep at least a few of those units alive.
Look at these Ultras. Ultras are like, I heard you have some food to drop. These are like the guys waiting for those food packages to drop out of the airplane.
It's like Kitty when you have the snack bag.
Kitty tracing his shoelace like,
150 supply remains for Dimaga. He's running out of money, Kevin, and Demuslim is once again maxed. Just relentless macro and just relentless late game aggression. Demuslim has not stopped attacking really since he first started to mobilize. Again, he's on Dimaga's creep. He's spreading out his units. He's sieging up his tanks, and Dimaga's going to have to do something about it.
Yeah, great positioning by Demuslim once more. Dimaga's getting a pretty good engagement at starter, but Demuslim just has way too many units right now.
Yes, he does. Every Ultralisk will fall, and good game, says Dimaga.
Wow. Really good first game. Excellent first game.
Demuslim takes game number 1, and once again, I find myself wondering why I bet against this guy.
Finally, Ben, my match to look forward to lives a little bit up to the expectations, because in the first 2 weeks it was a little bit
anticlimax.
Yeah, but this game 1 was really good, excellent play. I would even say from either side, because I think Dimaga took a couple of really great engagements as well, had pretty good map control. His macro, as you said, often was high on minerals, low on gas. But other than that, played a pretty good game. But
I thought Dimaga played a great game. Demuslim obviously played superb. Arguably, he played a perfect game. The thing I think Dimaga really missed there was just a tech switch. You've got to mix. You've got to be able to threaten Terran with Broodlord Ultra tech switches, and when you take that out of the mix, it makes Terran's life a lot easier.
But I guess that was just because he was so low on gas all along that he never really felt that he could afford it, because he felt he still needed to make some gas units to be able to deal.
I mean, Ultralisks, Infestors, and Banelings, that's a ton of gas already, which is honestly why you typically see Zerg players going Broodlords before Ultras. But either way, it was a very nice game. It was brought to you by Epson Projectors, the world's leading projector brand, offering full lines of bright projectors with brilliant image quality over at epson.com/projectors. We're going to take a short break. Dimaga versus Demuslim, game number 2, when we return.